Okay, hi, Mr. Osborne here. Welcome back. We've got fractions session 5. We're ready to go. Hope you are well. Hope you've been keeping yourself nice and busy. Check out this cup of this amazing Spider-Man. I told you before, Mr. Osborne loves Marvel. This is actually quite deceiving because actually it's a little tiny cup. It belongs to my son. I'm trying to get him into Marvel. He's only 2. Okay, that's enough about me. Let's have a look at what you will need for today's session. Today's session, you will need a pencil, a paper, and a ruler if you have one. Okay, today it'll be quite important if you do have a ruler because we're going to be drawing out some fractions and it'll be good to keep them neat and equal when we're drawing them. Get ready for the warm-up. Okay, so here are 3 shapes made from regular hexagons. Write the fraction of each shape that is shaded. I reckon you'll take about a minute to do this. If not, be even 30 seconds. Pause the video if you need to. If you don't need to, then come and join me now. I think you should be done. So let's have a look. We've got our whole shape, and our whole shape's been divided into 4. How many parts have we got shaded? Well, we've got 1 part shaded, so that gives us 1/4, 1/4. Let's have a look at the shape below. It's 1 whole. It's been divided into 2, 4, 6 parts. How many parts are shaded? Well, we can see that 3 parts are shaded, so that must be 3, 6. And for an extra bonus, I'm sure you could tell me that is 1/2. And then our final shape, we have 2, 4, 6 parts. It's been divided into, and we have 2 parts shaded. So we must have 2/6 or 1/3. Okay, hopefully your brain is nice and warmed up. Give yourself a pat on the back for getting those right. If not, not to worry. Okay, just have another look at them and then we shall move on. So I can hear you asking me, what is today's learning about? Well, today we're looking at comparing and ordering fractions greater than 1. In our last session, we ordered and compared fractions less than 1. Today is about ordering those fractions that are greater than 1. Let's have a move on as we look at today's learning in a bit more depth. Not forgetting our animation, of course. So key vocabulary. We discuss this every fraction session. We have our numerator, which is the top number. We have our denominator, which is the bottom number. Okay, the denominator tells us how many equal parts is the whole divided into. So our piece there has been divided into 4 pieces, and our numerator tells us how many equal parts we have. So we can have 3 pieces there. Maybe one of those pieces has been eaten. Okay, so numerator, denominator, part of our key vocabulary to focus on. Proper fractions. Okay, we've already looked at proper fractions in our earlier sessions. Today, we're going to be focused more on improper fractions. Okay, improper fractions have a numerator which is greater than the denominator. Okay, so the numerator is greater than the denominator, sometimes referred to as top-heavy fractions. And finally, mixed fractions. And a mixed fraction is a number, has a whole number and a proper fraction together. As you can see this example here, 2 and 5, 6. So a whole number and a fraction together. Okay, so let's move on and let's have a look what this looks like. Okay, 30 seconds. See if you can identify the improper fractions from these clouds here. I'll give you the amount of time it takes me to have a little drink. Okay, let's have a look. Let's press the button and see if you got them correct. Absolutely. 7/6, 4/3, 2/1, 7/2, 6/5, and we notice that all of these fractions have a higher numerator than denominator, making them an improper fraction. Okay, so let's have a look. Improper fractions, fractions that are greater than 1 whole. So let's have 5/4 as an example, okay, and work through this together. Okay, so we need shapes that are divided into 4 equal parts. So if we're going to draw this, we're going to need shapes that have divided into 4 equal parts, okay, for our denominator. So let's have a look. here's one shape that's been divided into 4 equal parts. Okay, and you can see these are all quarters because we've divided it into 4 parts. Okay, I've shaded, let's just say I've shaded green, the shape, I've shaded 4/4, so I've shaded 1 whole there. Okay, so I've shaded 4 quarters, and then we need to move down to see that there is 1 additional quarter because we're after 5 quarters. I can obviously only shade 4 quarters in that shape, so therefore the additional shape is needed, and I need to shade 1/4 of that shape. Okay, therefore giving us 4/4 add 1/4 equals 5/4. Okay, or 5 quarters. Okay, the addition there, in later sessions we will look at a fraction addition, but today you can see that quite straightforward. Okay, we have 4 quarters, add 1/4 will give us 5 quarters, which is our top heavy or our improper fraction. Okay, so it's now your turn. Have a go at drawing this improper fraction. Remember, the improper fractions are greater than 1 whole. If you remember my shape, I needed to divide my shape into 4 equal pieces. You've got 9/6, so you're going to need to divide it into 6 equal pieces. Okay, that's just there to remind you. Okay, take a couple of minutes, use your ruler if you can to make sure it gets it nice and equal. If not, try to be as straight as possible and as neat as possible. Okay, pause the video, come back and join me in a couple of minutes. Okay, so you're back and let's have a look how you got on. Now I asked you to draw me an improper fraction of 9/6. Now we know that our shape's going to have to be split into 6 equal parts, okay, and we are going to shade each of those parts into 1/6. Okay, there you go, I've shaded 6/6 there, as you can see. Then our second shape needs to be shaded into 3/1/6. So there you go, here we go. I've shaded 3/6 right there. Okay, then we can look, we can see I've shaded 6/6 and I've shaded 3/6. Those added together then would give us 9/6, our improper fraction. Now I'm sure you found that nice and straightforward, so we are going to move on. Okay, now improper fractions and mixed number fractions. Oh, I hope you can see that bit there. So this improper fraction, 5/4, is equivalent to, let me just move the video, I'm not sure if you can see that. Here we go, that's better. 5 quarters is equivalent to 1 4/4. Now, what does that look like? So this 1 4/4 is known as a mixed number fraction. So we've got our 5 quarters, which is an improper fraction, and then we've got a 1 1/4, which is our mixed number fraction. Now, I can hear you ask me, what does that look like, Mr. Osborne? It looks very similar to what we were doing. Okay, so I'm going to take my bar, I'm going to split it into 4 equal parts. Okay, there you go. So I've got my 1/4 there. I'm going to let you know that I've shaded 4/4, and we know that 4/4 must be 1 whole. Okay, which is fantastic. So we've got 1 whole there. You know that I need to then, because I've got 5 quarters, I need to be shading my 5th quarter down there. So therefore, I have shaded 1/4 of that bar. So to say this out loud, and it just helps us, we have 1 whole and 1/4. Okay, so 1 whole bar, okay, which is for our 4/4, and we have 1/4. So 1 whole add 1/4 gives us 1 1/4. Okay, and that is our mixed number fraction. So just to go over that, 1 whole bar, okay, which is equal to our 4/4, and 1/4, which we can see down there. Okay, so 4/5 is an equivalent fraction. Now, hopefully you'll remember our equivalent fraction work, where fractions may look different by numbers, but have exactly the same value. So 5/4 has the same value as 1 1/4. Hopefully you've taken that in, because it is time for you to have a go. Actually, no, I'm going to talk through this before I get you to have a go. So converting an improper fraction to a mixed number fraction. Now this is slightly different. Okay, last time we had 1 1/4. This time we're looking at how many 3s go into this 10. So if we look here, I have my 3, so my shape has been split into 3 equal parts. Okay, and you know I need to shade in 10 of those parts. So let's have a look. So I've shaded 1 bar there, which is my, there you go, and then I've shaded another third there, so 3 3s, that's 2 bars. Okay, then a third bar there, so that would be 9 parts shaded. Now I need to shade 1 more part, obviously, so that's my 1/3. So how many lots of 3 go into 10 over 3? Well, 3 lots go in, and that gives us a remainder of 1/3. Okay, so 10 over 3 is equivalent to 3 1/3. Okay, I hope that makes nice sense for you. Just have a double check here. We drew out our bar, we divided it into 3 equal sections. Okay, then we know that we need to shade 10 parts in, so that gave us our 3 bars, and the fourth additional bar down there where we only shaded 1/3. Okay, which was give us our improper fraction of 10 over 3, or our mixed number fraction, which is 3 1/3. Okay, so it is time for you to have a go at converting the improper fraction to a mixed number. So I've given you 13 over 4, pretty much drawn everything out for you, so it should be nice and straightforward. Maybe take a couple of minutes, pause the video, come back to me, and we'll talk through your answer and how we got there. Okay, so you're back already, very quick, well done. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got 13 over 4, so we know that our shape needed to be divided into 4 equal parts. Okay, and we know that we had to shade in 13 parts of that. So we've got 1 hole there. Okay, we've got 2 holes, we have got 3 holes, and then here we've got 1/4, because that would be our 13th part shaded. That would therefore give me 3 whole bars and 1/4. So our mixed number fraction would be 3 1/4. Hopefully you got that. If not, rewind the video back, have a look at the last 2 examples, and then come back and join us. But I'm sure you did, being a great mathematician. Let's move forward. Now let's compare these improper fractions showing the greater fraction. Okay, so I'm going to use my greater than or my less than. So we've got 9/7 over 8/6. Now there are a couple of methods that I'm going to talk you through on how you can compare these fractions, because you will know, as we do, that these fractions can't really be compared at the moment because we have different denominators. So the first method is going to be looking to find the same common denominator. Okay, and this is where we use our multiplication tables to find those. So I know, and I would imagine you know, being great year 6s, that 7 and 6 both fit into the same times table, and our common denominator is going to be number 42. Okay, so we had 7 times 6 there. Okay, and if we recall from previous session, that whatever we do to the the denominator, we do to the numerator likewise. So here we go. 7 times 6 gives us 42. 6 times 7 gives us 42 as well. Let's have a look. 9 times 6, because we're doing the same operation here. 9 times 6 and 8 times 7 there. 9 times 6, tell me what. Okay, 9 times 6 is 54, fantastic. Okay, and 8 times 6, and this will tell us whether this is a bigger or smaller fraction, and here we go, it's 56. So our 9 over 7 and our 8 over 6 in proper fractions, our equivalent fractions are 54 over 42 and 56 over 42. Now, what does that look like? Putting it into our statement here, which is a greater fraction, straightforward for you guys, is 56 over 42. We can compare them because they have the same denominator. Okay, so 9/7 is less than 8/6. Okay, fantastic. Let's move on. Okay, now we can compare. That was one way of comparing improper fractions. Okay, now let's have a look at comparing improper fractions by converting them into mixed number fractions. So that skill we've just learned, we're going to apply here, so then we can compare and order these fractions. Okay, so here we go. If you remember previously what we had done, we had we've drawn our shape, our one whole. Now I know that that one whole then needs to be divided into 7 pieces. So here we go, 2, 4, 6, 7. I know that then I would need to shade in those pieces, 9 pieces of that. So therefore I need 2 shapes. Okay, now if I'm looking at this, I can see that that has been done correctly. Fantastic. And that would give me 1 whole and 2 sevenths. Okay, so 1 whole and 2 sevenths, so 9 sevenths. I can see from my visual here that I have 7 parts shaded, okay, which is 1 whole, and then my 2 sevenths there. Fantastic. Let's have a look at the 8/6. Again, we're going to look at our denominator. Okay, so I need to divide my shape into 6 pieces. Okay, I need 8 pieces shaded, so therefore I'm going to have to go into a second shape here. Just double check, 2, 4, 6, fantastic, shaded 8 there. So that would then give us 1 whole and fantastic, 2 6. Okay, so 1 whole and 2 6. Now here, I'm just going to highlight this. As great mathematicians, and hopefully you watched the previous session on simplifying fractions, you would be able to tell me that 2 6 can be simplified to 1/3. So our fractions here, our improper fractions, have been changed into mixed number fractions of 1 and 2 sevenths and 1 and 1. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We have 1 and 2 sevenths and 1 and 1/3 there. What we're going to need to do is we can compare the ones. That's quite clear. So they're of equal measure. So we're going to need to look at our fractions. Now, the 2 sevenths and the 1/3, I can tell you that these both are in our 7 times table, and would take us up to 21. So I've multiplied through these fractions here to give me 1 and 6 over 21 and 1 and 7 over 21. Therefore, giving us the bigger fraction, or the greater fraction, of 1 and 1/3. Okay, hopefully you got that. I'm sure you have. If not, pause the video, rewind it back, have a look, and then join us back here. Now it is your turn. It is your turn to have a go at completing this statement. Okay, now we've just been through it. I'd like you to complete this statement. Show me both ways. Okay, so show me by multiplying out, and then show me by using mixed number fractions. Okay, I've spoken a lot at speed. Pause the video there, have a go. I'll see you in a few minutes and we'll talk through the answers together. Okay, so you're back again. I asked you to have a look at these, complete this statement. I asked you to compare these to improper fractions, and then I asked you to convert them into mixed number fractions. So let's have a look. First of all, we need to find the common denominator, which we can do quite easily because we know that both these numbers will go into 12. There you go, nice animation there. Okay, so whatever I do to my denominator, I'm going to do exactly the same to my numerator. Okay, I'm doing both the fractions here, so you can see 4 times 3 would give me 12, and the 6 times 2 would give me 12. Then I must do 6 times 3, which gives me another animation over here. My 7 times 2, here we go, 18 over 12 and 14 over 12. And I'm sure you managed to get that. We can go back to our statement. Okay, so which one is the greater fraction? Well, it's quite easy to look at and tell. It is 18 over 12. So 6 over 4 is a greater fraction than 7 over 6. Okay, now let's have a look at these fractions, converting them into mixed number fractions. So here we go. As you know, if we're going to draw this out, I've got my 1 whole that's been divided into 4 parts. I've then needed to shade 6 parts, so I've moved on to a second shape here. So I have 1 whole and 2 quarters there, 1 whole and 2 quarters. Okay, let's have a look at our 7/6 fraction. So I know I need one shape divided into 6 pieces. Let's have a look. I've got that, and I know that I need 7 parts shaded. So therefore I've gone into a second shape. So that's going to give me 1 whole and 1/6. Fantastic. Now let's just have a quick look. Great mathematicians that you are, and being great at fractions, you would definitely know that 2/4, okay, 2 quarters can be simplified to 1/2. Okay, and there you go. So let's go into compare these then. Is 1/2 bigger than 1/6? But when we multiply the fractions out, we know that they've both got the same common denominator of 6 there. So actually 1/2 is 1 3/6, and 1 1/6 is obviously going to be the smaller fraction. Okay, hope you managed to get that. I'm sure you did. If not, go back and have another go and just see where you picked, where you may have gone wrong. But I'm sure, being great year 6 mathematicians, that you would have got that no problem. Okay, let's compare these mixed number fractions here. Well, the good news for you is actually there is no comparison really, because we can see that the fraction with the greater whole number is going to be the greater fraction there, the greater mixed number fraction. So no need to worry about dividing or times in anything there. We can see that 4 whole parts is clearly the larger fraction. Fantastic. Okay, have a go at this. Compare these mixed number fractions. Okay, have a go at that. Come back in a couple of minutes and then we will look through this together. Okay, so let's have a look at comparing these mixed number fractions. Okay, so I've got 3 2/6 and 3 3/4. Well, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look at my 2 fractions. Okay, and all I need to do, because I can forget about the whole numbers there because they are equal. So with these 2 fractions, I'm going to look for the highest common denominator, which you will be able to tell me is 12. I'm then going to multiply my fraction out. So here we go. We've got my 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. My 4 times 3 will give me 12. Okay, and over the other side, I'm looking at doing 6 times 2, which will give me 12, and my 2 times 2 will give me 4. Sorry, my 2 times 2 will give me 4. So therefore, we can look at these fractions as 3 4/12 and 3 9/12, giving us giving us a larger fraction of 3 3/4 there. Okay, nice and easy. You're just using exactly the same method as that multiplying. Okay, so it is independent task time. Okay, so compare these fractions, use the following symbols, okay, to make the statement true. We have 10/5, we have 12/10, 8/3 and 13/12, and then 4/3 and 20/15. These are all improper fractions. Give that a go. There is another task, okay? There is an independent task 2. Order these improper fractions from smallest to largest. So that is simply finding that same common denominator, which you know how to do. And I'm already spotting a number there, quite easy actually. Okay, off you go. Pause the video, have a go at those, have a real good go at those, come back. Okay, if you don't get it first time, there's no need to worry. Okay, remember, resilience is key, especially when we're learning fractions. So off you go. I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so you're back. Okay, let's have a look. 10/5 and 12/5. We need to find the common denominator. Nice and easy. Mr. Osborne's been really generous. That's quite clearly 10, isn't it? So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first fraction by 2, which is going to give us 20/10. Okay, against 12/10. We don't need to do anything about the 12/10, so that's absolutely fine. Okay, I'll come back to put our symbol in a second. Let's have a look at our second one. In B, we have 8/3 and a 13 over 12. Now we need to find the common denominator, and again Mr. Osborne's been very generous, okay, because we know that the common denominator there, okay, is going to be 12. Okay, I don't know why I've done my 8 times table up there, no need to. Okay, so we're going to multiply 3 by 4 to give us that 12, and there you go. I did need to do my 8 times tables, and just in case you can't remember your tables, 8 times 4 is going to give me 32. So we've got a 32 over 12 and a 13 over 12, which is going to allow us to compare those fractions. Okay, and then finally down here, well, again, nice and straightforward, really. We've got 20 over 15 and 4 over 3. The common denominator, straightforward there, that goes into 15, doesn't it? So 3 multiplied by 5 will give us 15, which would then give us 4 times 5, which would give us 20. Okay, and then let's put in the symbols. Wow, we have 10 over 5 is greater because it gives us 20 over 10. Yep, you got it. 8 over 3 gives us 32 over 12. And then finally, that last one, they are of equal fraction. Okay, so they're of equal value right there. Fantastic. Hopefully you managed to get that right. Let's move on. So order these improper fractions from smallest to largest. You're going to use the same procedure. You're going to find the common denominator, and that will allow us to then just simply place these in order. So let's have a look. I must have been super generous writing these out. Okay, 15 there is our common denominator. Okay, because we know 3 goes into 15 and we know 5 goes into 15. So let's have a look. 5 times 3 is going to be, would give us 18 over 15. Let's have 5 over 3 there would give us 3 times 5 is going to give us 25 over 15, and then we don't need to do anything to that last fraction there. All we need to do now is order them. So we know that 18 is obviously the smallest number, followed by 20, and then followed by 25. Have a look. Hopefully you managed to get that correct. And then finally, I was just going to show the original fractions that we started with. Quick recap. Okay, what a fantastic job you've done today. Okay, we were looking at mixed number fractions. We were looking at improper fractions. Okay, we were looking at ordering, comparing both sets of fractions there. We looked at using our greater and less than symbols as well. We looked at some key vocabulary. We covered quite a lot on fractions there, but more than anything, we looked at how to compare and order these fractions that are greater than 1. Okay, a little bit of an animation to end. Okay, I've been Mr. Osborne. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.